You're tuned to Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is the program called The Wonderful World of Wardini Books, and it's our pleasure, as always, to have in the studio the wonderful Lou from Wardini Books.
Kia ora, Ken.
How are you going? You well?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Good.
Yeah.
And 4 more great books this week for us to have a bit of a look at, and you got one which is a bit of a play on words. Is it Kuwis Rowdy Crowd?
This is the third Kuwi the Kiwi book from Kat Merriweather, and these are hugely popular.
Really?
Mainly because the Kiwis in them are so cute. So we started off with Kuwi the Kiwi, and the first book is about her having an egg, and she doesn't know what to do with it. She's never had an egg before, you know. Yes. Has a baby, doesn't know what to do with the baby, you know, and on we go. And then she has her chick, Hui, and in this one, the third in the series, Hui is behaving like a toddler, as they do, and he's creating a dreadful racket. So poor old mum, Kui, just wants a nice cup of kawa kawa tea. That's all she wants. And she's putting her feet up, but he's banging and crashing around, and she goes up for a bath, and then there's a lot of alliteration in this book, which is really cool for kids. So she's trying to have a bath. Oh no, a flock of farting Theo are frolicking in the froth. So he's brought all his mates round, and they're all trying to get in the bath as well. And then he's got karate kicking Kokako. They come to visit next, and her tea is getting colder and colder, and her eyes are drooping and drooping. I really like. There's so much detail in these illustrations. So the really cool thing that she does is that you read the story to the child, and it's great fun. And they're looking at the pictures, but grown-ups shouldn't forget to look at the pictures too, because you've got more porks come round for a bit of a play, and they're singing away. They're singing "Mice, Mice, Baby." But if you look carefully, he's got his bling on, this more pork, and he's got a love heart, and it says "more," and then it's got a picture of a pig. So yeah, just things like that. And he's got Chair Hui on his hat, and all sorts of really lovely little details in there. So eventually she has enough. After there's even poo pitching Pekka Pekka, the bats, has enough, shouts quiet, and they all kind of go home, and Hui looks a bit sad, and then, like most parents, the guilt kicks in.
Them, that's right.
It's quiet and quite boring. All the happy sounds have gone, and she's missing the noise. It's like getting rid of your kids for the weekend. It lasts about 2 minutes. Yeah.
And a timeless book, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, and a great age range. So you could read this to a 2-year-old, but there are still 5- and 6-year-olds that will love this.
I love it.
Coming to visitors on the weekend.
Yes.
So she'll be in our Napier store on Saturday the 20th of October at 11, and she'll be in our Havelock North store on the Sunday the 21st of October at 11.
Marvellous.
So come and meet Kat Merriweather.
Too right. And the next book's called Motzart, the Man Behind the Music.
This is amazing. It's by Donovan Bixley, who is an internationally award-winning author and illustrator.
What a great drawing.
He is incredible. So this man just illustrates so many beautiful books in this inimitable style, with such vibrancy and colour and movement in his drawings as well. So this is The Life and Times of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, a literary picture book. So it is for young people, but it's also for grown-ups as well, because what he's done is he's used Mozart's letters, so it's actually in his own words as well. Done a lot of research. He was originally going to do a book about Beethoven, but found these letters somewhere, I don't know, that Mozart had written, and he's just such a madcap character. So it's not just, everyone knows about the Mozart effect, you know, so you play music to the baby in the womb, and he's supposed to make you smarter and all that kind of thing. But what they might not know, he was actually really into his fart jokes and massive parties, you know, and you're going back a bit. I mean, it's 1700s, isn't it, with Mozart? So what we've got here is just this beautifully illustrated. If you look at that all the way through.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Huge amount of detail. Goes through all the rivalry with Salieri, who was jealous of Mozart, but loved his work, knew that the man was a genius, and the genius that began right in infancy as well. Yeah. And his marriage and his children, and then he was commissioned to write the Requiem for some baroness somewhere, and became sick while he was writing this Requiem Mass, and became paranoidly convinced that he was writing it for his own death, and became sick and died. And yeah, there's a lot of spooky stuff going on with Mozart too, but it's all full of jealousy and parties and illness and incredibleness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Will be worth buying just for the pictures.
Absolutely, yeah. And then you'll go, I think you probably would go through, if you're anything like me.
You would, yes.
Go through, look at the pictures first, and then go back and read it. And you can dip in and out of it. I would probably sit there and read it all the way through.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
You're listening to Kidnappers, the voice of Hawkesbury. This is the wonderful world of Wardini Books. 2 stores, one in Napier, which is in Hastings Street.
Yeah, it is.
And where's your store?
Both my stores. But the Havelock North one, to which you refer, is 16 Tomato Road in Havers.
And the next book we're going to look at is called Shell.
Look at that cover, Ken. It glows, doesn't it? And I think it's a really beautiful cover, very fitting, because this is by Christina Olson, who's an Australian author, and you can probably tell that it's the Sydney Opera House that's rendered there. And this is set in the 60s when conscription, getting kids out to fight in Vietnam, is going on in Australia, and the Sydney Opera House is being built also by a Scandinavian. So there's a little bit of argy-bargy about that. What does this architect know? Well, what he's known is genius. He's building something for the people, and he's looking into the ground for their stories, and not just European Australians, but he's looking for Aboriginal stories as well. So it's a novel, and it deals with a journalist who is anti-conscription. She's got brothers who she's desperately trying to save from being sent overseas to fight. And she meets one of a glassblower that's working on the Sydney Opera House. And the descriptions of light and the way that glass holds light, the light in Sydney, which is harsh but beautiful, the Scandinavian light on snow, absolutely poetic and beautiful. So it's got that story and the themes of love and loss and motherhood and all that kind of thing, but it's also just got poetic beauty in its writing. It's a lovely novel.
What do you give it out of 10?
Oh, it's a good 9 out of 10, that one.
But
I've got to save my 10 for something else.
Yeah, maybe the next one, Bridge of Clay.
This is, I think, my book of the year.
Really?
Yeah, we're in October, so it's got time, but, you know, this is by Marcus Cusack. He wrote The Book Thief. Did you read The Book Thief or see the movie?
No.
Incredible story narrated by Death. This is nothing like that. This is about 5 boys it's another dusty Australian setting. So the boys are bereaved, their mother dies, and their father basically goes a bit nuts, and we don't know where he is at the beginning of the book. All we know is that the eldest boy is writing on this typewriter that he has found, and he was told that he would find it, and there would also be a dog and a snake buried in a garden with the typewriter. So you read in the first few chapters and you go, what is going on here? But then he tells you from his heart and soul what has gone on in these kids' lives. So they call their father the murderer, and you think, well, did he murder the mother? What's gone on there? And you don't know for probably right till the end exactly what's gone on there. And one of the kids, to get him through his grief a bit, they've let him have all the animals he wants. So there's a mule that lives out in the garden, and there's a pigeon, and they're all named after Greek gods and goddesses and things, the legends that their mum told them when they were little. But Clay, it references Clay, Bridge of Clay in the title, is the one that will create the bridge between the past and the future. So, and he is the sensitive boy that holds everything together. They fight, they scrap, if one of them deserves a hiding, the biggest brother will dish it out whether he wants to or not. He feels it's his duty, and it's just the way that these boys are surviving. But there is such a lot of love in this book, and so many different themes, and the writing itself was so incredibly beautiful that it made me cry.
Really?
Never mind the actual themes in it.
So it's a 10?
So, 10 plus.
Wow. Does it get any better than that?
Dunno. It's one of the best books I've read.
Good on you, Lou. And you got something to tell us about that?
We've got a book launch coming up. So this is Deirdre Wilton, who's a local astrologer, and she is launching her book. It's called Your Life, Your Choice, and this one deals with, you've been given this set of circumstances, now it's up to you what you do with it, so take some responsibility for what's going on in your life. And she is going to launch that at our Napier store, so at the Hastings Street store in Napier, 22nd of October, which is Labour Day, at 6 p.m, and everybody is welcome to come and meet Deirdre and hear what she's got to say about how you can get your life on track.
Good on you, Lou. As always, our pleasure. You look after yourself. We'll talk to you same time, same place next time.
Thanks, Kim.